Welcome to another Jefferson County Library District Talk About. This is the homeschooling panel. Welcome everyone. I'll go ahead and start with Liesl with an intro, your name, the length you have been homeschooling for, the ages of the children you have homeschooled, and your educational background.
My name is Liesl Gansch, and right now we're living in Galván. We're going into our 5th year, which seems kind of wild. We were kind of, I always wanted to homeschool. 2020 would have been my oldest kindergarten year, and that kind of pushed us into it. So my oldest is 9, and then I also have a 7-year-old. For my educational background, it's not in education. And I guess I homeschooled for my high school time, and so it was always kind of in the back of my mind of something I wanted to do, and now here we are and having a great time with it.
So my name is Sanja Harness. People call me Sina. I've been homeschooling for about 7 years. I have 3 kids, 6, 10, and 11. I'm originally from Mongolia. I grew up there and I went to school and got my bachelor's degree under school education in Japanese language. And then I went to Japan and then I got a higher education. I earned my master's degree in linguistics. So that's my background and I enjoy homeschooling.
My name is Liesl Galván. I'm originally from the Columbia Gorge. I've been homeschooling my boys, my 2 sons, for a few years now. They're 5 and 2.5. For my educational background, I studied early childhood education and then was a preschool teacher for several years before I moved here.
My name is Lindsay Wright, and I have 3 daughters. I have homeschooled for about 13 years, 16, 13, and 11. And I have a bachelor's in public health, but I think I am definitely recovering my education by teaching them all the things I didn't pay attention to or care about. So that's one of my favorite parts of homeschooling, other than being with my kids still, is that I get to learn along with them, which is really fun. More fun for me, I think, than them.
What are some methods of teaching you have used, their pros and cons of each, and what did you end up feeling like worked best for you?
Kind of for these purposes, I think kind of how maybe we homeschool a little bit different is it's through a charter school. So technically my kids are part of the public school system, but it's through Oregon Family School is the charter school. And we kind of just started there and it has worked for us. Otherwise, kind of like the Charlotte Mason Classical, all that, I kind of feel like we're probably more of a hodgepodge of all the things, kind of pulling that together. More specifically for ours, my daughters are dyslexic, so we really have to focus on our reading, and that's kind of like the forefront of everything we do because we're not, and they're 4th grade and 2nd grade. My 4th grader is profoundly dyslexic, so we are not doing kind of more the mainstream writing and reading abilities that maybe some other kids are. So we focus heavily on reading through, we do Barton reading is our program. So that's most of our time spent there.
And then with the current method, especially with the charter school, what does your day kind of look like?
Pretty much we are doing our own thing with curriculum and everything. We choose to go to a community day on Wednesdays in Redmond, and that's from 9 to 2:30, and they have a very high number of dyslexic students there, so they do very much focus on more science and art and music. That's so that all the students can participate. And the rest of the days we try to get our stuff done before lunch. And like this year, I'm really trying to push my oldest to just be a functional reader at the end of the year is our goal. And so we're trying to do about an hour and a half of the Barton tutoring every day, and then math, and then that's about all we can handle in the morning, and then we come back to it at night, but they don't know it, and do our history and science that they just think is fun reading. So that's how I kind of trick them into doing that. So if we take the afternoons, is pretty much all play because they can't handle sitting still for that long.
So the method we use is Christ-centered curriculum called My Father's World, and it's a traditional textbook centered curriculum. And I really like this because I'm very, I'm just really comfortable being organized, you know, and also I believe that it builds a strong foundation for different skills like writing, handwriting, grammar, and also they're more engaged with the subject, you know, by highlighting or taking notes, you know, so I think that's really important. And also it teaches them how to learn. So we sit down at the table and finish the subject. They don't get up like in the middle of, you know, class and then jump around and go do something else. We just sit and finish the subject, and I think that teaches them discipline. It's important because they learn how to learn so they can apply that to any subject and also just in life in general. Sometimes like we get tired, you know, sometimes it gets boring for them to sit down for a long time, but then we just change things up a little bit. We make the subject shorter or just finish school, you know, earlier. Or I sometimes have them do things like, you can go do school on porch, you know, or on the couch or even on the floor, just for the fun. And then they really enjoy that. Sometimes I have them teach the class, so they really enjoy that too. So just like trying to make things fun, you know, but then we still continue on, and it teaches them to like stay on the task and we don't give up. So just finish the subject, even if it's, you know, the next day we come back and finish it. So it teaches them that discipline. We do school every day from 10 to 4 p.m. We take 1 hour lunch break. It's not really break. During the lunch, we sit down and talk about the verses that we read, or we talk about, I read to them. And we do school all throughout the year. We don't take summer breaks. But then we do take vacations during the school year, so it's nice because it's cheaper and also less crowded, you know, wherever you go, it's really nice. And we also, of course, take the holiday breaks. So my kids are used to it. Like, they don't complain about it. It's like, that's the expectation, and then just do it. So, which is really nice. And I love doing school with them. I really enjoy it because I'm learning with them too. Like Lindsay said, you know, I consider myself as a student, just learning alongside with my kids.
Well, for me, right now I'm in the same boat as Liesl. This is my first year doing a charter school, but in the past I've done a little bit of everything. So like unit studies, classical education, Charlotte Mason, Montessori. I tried everything just because for fun. It's interesting now going from more of like from freestyling, basically my homeschooling, to a more traditional approach now. Today was my son's first day, so we had to be on a more stricter schedule. And my little one, he's doing another curriculum that I've used in the past. It's called the Gentle Classical curriculum. I really like it, and it's fun. It has a lot of little activities for a toddler to do. The pros for the charter school for me were the fact that my son would have somewhere to go and, you know, be around other kids, because they do meet also in Redmond every Wednesday. And then also the stipend that they offer. So I was able to get money back for supplies. And being a young family, that was like really important for me. So that was really nice. The cons would be that we have to have more of a routine now, which I'm not used to. But yeah.
And what's the name of the charter?
I go through Sylvie's River Charter School, and I chose them mainly because of the range of activities that they had, like music classes, science classes, language arts, and a beautiful little school too, actually, in Redmond and Bend.
Outline what kind of your day looks like, with one being in charter and one you're kind of teaching more at home.
Well, today was our first day doing that officially, so my son just had to get on his little laptop first thing in the morning and check in with our I call her our guide. and answer her question that she had for us today, which was like, what was your favorite memory of this summer? We did that. We did an hour of schoolwork, and he was done. And my little one just sat there with him. I helped him with his schoolwork, and that didn't take very long. He's 2.5, so yeah. And then we played the rest of the day, had lunch, hung out.
We have tried pretty much everything except non-schooling. Well, I guess we did that one season because my kids were crying all the time. Anyway, we like the Charlotte Mason approach, but I got overwhelmed because Charlotte Mason has you do handcrafts and music and art and stories. And I mean, there was so much. Her philosophy is lay a bountiful table to spark your children's interest, but to me that was just a little overwhelming, so we just kind of adapted to Charlotte Mason to fit a little bit, reined it in. We did unit studies, which is a lot of fun because you can just pick something and then build everything off of this Little House on the Prairie books, or dinosaurs if you have boys, or whatever it is. So we've done a lot of different things. The only thing we didn't do is what Sina does, is peg a curriculum and write it out, which I have so much respect for that. But the con to that was for me, for my personality, the rigidity of it, and the fact that it's kind of a cookie cutter. It doesn't matter your kid's personality. But My Father's World is amazing, and they have a lot of adaptations. So I'd say the cons to doing it kind of like, let's see what happens this year, is that we did discover that we had some holes. Definitely my children struggle with spelling and some grammar, and so I think it's best to kind of do both, like some interest-led, and then just like we did decide to just sparkle down with some books that are specific. I'd say the benefit to that is that I could choose the variety, which was nice. And I could choose that they were faith-based for us. It was very important for them to learn about God and instill godly values into them. And so that's the beauty of homeschooling, is you get to mold them in the way that you think is best for them instead of have somebody else do it. And then lastly, I would say the cons to what we're doing is that my kids don't have a lot of friends, and they do miss that social group. We come to the library a lot. We have for years and years, which is nice. But now that they're getting to be more teenagers, they do miss that little tribe that they get at school. So, but now my oldest daughter is in a charter school, Baker. She does early college. So she was 15 going to COCC, which I don't know that I'd recommend, but it worked for her. She really wanted to, and now, so Baker Early College, they take ninth graders, and then by the time you graduate high school, you get a 2-year degree as well. So it's a dual, and they pay for the college. Well, I guess taxpayers do, but anyways, so it's a great opportunity for them to just kind of step ahead if they're ready, and they want to have some, they want to continue on with their education.
And what does a rough outline of your homeschooling life, at least right now, look like?
Yeah, so we're early risers. My kids get up I make them stay in bed until 6, and then they do their math. As soon as they do their little Bible reading, and then they hit their math, and I don't tell them to. I'm very blessed with that. But we are always done. We have always been done before lunch, and that's just the way they just knock it out. And so, yeah. And then after that, they have quiet time where they can play, and we're free the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm. What are some trials, tribulations, or the hardest part you have found about homeschooling?
For my family, I guess it's pretty much dyslexia has been kind of the headliner here. And so much of it was learning that, I guess I'm not officially diagnosed, but there's some neurodiversity in here. And like some of the things she struggled with, or I didn't know so much of the things that I struggled with were because of this. And so much of it is building this better environment for my daughter that I don't even she doesn't seem to be self-conscious about the fact that she's in 4th grade and can't pick up a book and read it. So much of that is working on kind of the behind the scenes of schoolwork is, I guess, where we've kind of now gone in like the last 2 years. I feel pretty comfortable about it now, but there are some rough patches in there, and like, I mean, now I feel like so much of it is like, I'm so lucky to get to learn with them. And I always thought, well, I'm bad at science, and now we're doing this awesome science that I'm like, this is so fun, and I'm learning so much. And it's just, I hope that they grow up and think like fondly back on this. That, I guess that's what I'm always pushing for. But in that, I guess there's been a lot of tears and when to push it. I guess that's always been probably my biggest struggle is, when do you push, you have to sit down and do this? And how much are you going to learn if you're crying? And, like, she is like officially diagnosed with dyslexia, but she's also never met a chair she's never fallen, like that she hasn't fallen off of. So like, we do a lot of trampoline flashcards. We do a lot, like so it's been a struggle of we need to have more discipline, and I'm always kind of gamifying and looking for ways to make it work and make it stick. And so that's probably my biggest battle. But I feel like now that I've kind of figured that out, we've gotten a better routine for it. I think it's probably my biggest thing. And I can't believe that, it's going into our 5th year. I didn't buy all the things. I didn't feel bad that I don't have a pretty layout that you see on Instagram. Less is more, and we're just sticking to our basics, and I feel pretty comfortable with that now this year, but it's taken a while to get there.
So honestly, my first language is not English. So sometimes, I think about other people, say, I bet it's so much easier for them to just read this subject and understand it at once. I have to read a couple times. And I'm like, what? And I have to use a dictionary and look up the words and stuff. So that's honestly a struggle. But I'm learning, I'm a student, and I went to school in Mongolia, which is totally different than here in America. I never learned things that kids learn here. So it's very different from me. But I'm just learning from, just like my kids, they're learning from ABC. So it's been really fun. That was the biggest struggle. Still, there's so many words that still I'm learning myself. But if I prepare, beforehand, then I'm okay. But if I don't prepare, then I'm in trouble. Then I have to, okay, just a second, let me, find out what this means. But I'm confident because I have the routine now, just preparing beforehand. So it makes things so much easier. And then I'm happy because I'm learning with them too, gaining all knowledge. And then, I don't know, I just discipline them when you start it. So we don't have that issue right now. They just know the expectations, so they don't complain, they don't, so I don't have a problem with that. So that's the only.
For me, I would say it was hard to go from a place that had a big homeschooling community and then coming here and then not knowing anyone. So I had to start from scratch, and I visited the library a lot as well. And luckily, my community has grown now over the last few years, but that was the hardest part, was not knowing people, not knowing if we even had a homeschooling community here in Madras. All I found was a Facebook group that no one ever posted on. But yeah, no, I got really lucky, and I've met some really cool ladies that also homeschool over time. I started my own co-op with a friend now, so it all worked out.
I was going to say, I was not homeschooled. A lot of this, a lot of people I know were not homeschooled. That's homeschool. And it's just, you don't have to be an expert. It's just willing. And there is going to be hard days. There is a lot of tears, some of them mine, because there are times when I feel bad saying this, but I really hated homeschooling. But I loved my kids more than I hated homeschooling. So, I knew this was the path that I chose. And when you choose it, just go with it. And there's going to be ups and downs. I would spend all July like formulating this beautiful plan, and I'm so excited. But the plan involved my children doing it. So that is where the frustration happened. And sometimes I did not do a great job disciplining them like Sina, and they would complain a lot, and we still struggle with that. So the complaining is hard, but I have to say, teaching my girls also were delayed in reading, and they had a hard time, and teaching to read was very challenging. But my third, though, she picked up right away. So, but teaching them to read was challenging for me as well, to have that patience and that trust that they get it, and the compassion and the gentleness. So we're all learning, like Sanja said, we're the students just like our kids are, because we're not experts, but just show up every day and try to love on our children and teach them what they need to be successful adults. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. Just attitudes, mine and theirs occasionally, and bumps in the road.
What is your best tips or tricks for success in homeschooling, or one of your favorite resources? Just one.
I would say kind of like planning like this beautiful school year out has never worked for me, and it just leaves me disappointed that I have a slight plan and then I just track what we did for the day. Instead of putting on a calendar that we're going to do this, I write what we actually did and continue on.
Resources would be My Father's World. They have a really good customer service. You can call them anytime with any questions. They'll always get back to you. They'll also pray for you. They actually call you and say, do you have a prayer request? Which was really, really nice, and that was really encouraging, especially in the first years I was homeschooling. The tips would be, I have 3. The first one is do homeschooling through prayer. It always works. And of course, homeschooling is not easy, and we have challenges and hard times, but I did everything through prayers, and it always works. And I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I just remember that all the time. And the second one is preparation and organization for me, because I like to be organized and prepared. Otherwise, I will just lose, I feel like I'm lost. So it's important for me to be prepared. And then the last one is have fun. I think it's a blessing to be able to stay home with your kids all day, every day. It's a blessing. So I just try to remember that every day. It's a blessing. So have fun with your kids.
For me, the resources would be knowing what we have in the community as resources. So like the library was a big one for me. Miss Laura herself, the librarian, she's just a resource. She homeschooled all of her kids, so she helped me and gave me a lot of information. She carries a lot of curriculum and a lot of helpful little things. She does story time, 4 times a week. So the library is key. We have homeschool swimming lessons. We have music lessons in town. The Jefferson County homeschool group now on Facebook. We try to post on there anything that we know will be helpful, or try to answer questions for people. And my best tips would be, yes, organization and having a routine, for sure. I'm learning that one.
I would say my number one tip is just to wait. I did not wait. I was in where we lived in Portland. We had this community of homeschoolers that was driving their kids to Ivy League schools or something, and so there's so much pressure. And my children, like I said, they needed a little more time for their brains to develop so they could have the skills. And pushing them created friction in me and in our relationship. And Dr. Raymond Moore, he wrote a book called Better Late Than Early, and he talked about burnout with public school kids, and I'd highly recommend that, because there's so much pressure with homeschooling to, are your kids reading at 3? Why not? It's you're not doing your job, and we put our identity so much in the smartness of our kids, but sometimes they have difficulty, and we need to honor that and respect them and trust God and just love them and give them structure and discipline. But, they come a little bit preconditioned, and then you need to figure out ways to work with that, not make them conform. So don't start them too early. Don't stress. Just trust yourself. You don't have to have a degree in education, although I'm sure it would be amazing, but trust God for sure and invite him in, because I can't tell you how many times he'll give you help and answers. And then, be thankful. I remember my husband on one of the bad days that I was having trouble, and we saw this yellow bus go by, and I'm like looking longingly at it. Dreaming for a second. It's like, moms with kids that go to public school get, 6 to 8 hour breaks every day. And that kind of put things in perspective, like, do I want that? What would I do with my time, Not that that's a judgment, because that is maybe what God calls certain families to do. But I knew my calling was to get through, buckle down and do it. And I'm so glad. And so just be patient with the ups and downs and the hard days, and just love your kids, love each other, love the Lord, and ask him for lots of help. And resources, the Bible, for sure. I've used that as a whole curriculum for spelling, for everything one season, and it was great. But that's a big character developing tool there.